All right, let's talk percent notes. So we're going to refresh our memory on our 6th grade percent proportions, and then we're also going to learn what our new step is in 7th grade, okay? So it says when solving percent proportions, we're going to set up a WKU or percent proportion, okay? I'm going to set up a percent proportion, which we know is just a WKU. All right, so we have part over whole, percent over 100. We know whole is really just total. And a lot of times we're going to use is over of, okay? So is our part, of is our whole or our total. And percent always, always, always goes over 100. All right, so let's go through our first example. Our first example says, in a survey of 275 college students. So that's the first thing I'm going to notice is the word of 275. It said 165 students that said they preferred morning classes instead of afternoon classes. What percentage? So there's our keyword, what percentage? So that means percent is missing. So I'm immediately going to go ahead and put X percent over 100 because the percent's missing, and I know percent goes over 100. And it says prefer morning classes. So my words will be morning classes, and again, what goes on the bottom? Total. So I'm just missing my middle piece. So I have morning classes in total. So if I read it says 165 preferred morning classes. So 165 is morning, and then of 275 is our total. So again, of is a total word. So it says of 275 goes on the bottom. All right, and then how do we solve? We just cross multiply and divide. So I'm going to multiply corner to corner, leaving my X outside. So I have 165 times 100, and we know that's just stealing zeros. So we have 165, and then we just steal those 2 zeros when we multiply by 100. And we're going to divide by 275. Divide by 275. So I stack them so that I can properly label my cowboy and my horse, so that when I put it in my house, I don't mess up. So I'm going to draw my house, put 275 outside, and I have 16500. All right, I'm going to set the table, 16500, and then my big bold decimal. 275 cannot sit in 1, cannot sit in 16, cannot sit in 165, but it can sit in 1,650. So let's see, 1,650 divided by 275. So that's going to go in 6 times, and that's going to be exactly 1,650. When I subtract, I zero out, but I'm not reached my big bold decimal yet. So what I have to do is I have to fill in all the extra spaces with a 0. So the answer is not 6, it's actually 60. So 60% prefer morning classes. 60% prefer morning classes. And that is my percentage. Don't fall for picking the numbers in the problem. Remember, that's a Joe Schmo. So my answer will never be like 165 or 275 because those numbers are in my question. Remember, anytime it says what percent, we need to use a percent proportion. So 60% preferred morning classes. All right, number 2, a basketball player made 84% of her shots out of 250 attempts. So the first thing that I see is 84%, and I know immediately I'm going to write that over 100. So I'm going to pull it from my problem. I'm immediately going to put it over 100 because I know percent goes on top of 100. Then it says made 84% of her shots out of 250 attempts. So again, of 250, telling me that of is going to end up on the bottom of that proportion because we know it's is over of. So she made 250 shots. She took 250 shots. So we need to know how many did she make. So it's important to read to make sure we are answering the question that's asked. So our words are make and total. Again, she made 84%, so you can see make and made 84% are both on top. And then we're looking for how many shots is that out of 250. So I'm going to cross multiply. I'm multiplying corner to corner, leaving my x outside. So I have to do 250 times 84. 250 times 84. So that's going to be 21,000, 3 zeros, 1,000. And then remember, we divide by our extra number. So we're going to divide by 100. I'm going to cross off some zeros to make my math easier. And now I just have 210 divided by 1, which we know is 210 by itself. So anything divided by 1 is just that number. So that's how many shots she made. 220 shots made. So that's kind of a reminder of what it looked like in 6th grade. So let's go on and talk about what it's going to look like in 7th grade. So same process, same setup, but normally we're going to have more than one step now. So instead of just setting up a WKU and solving, we're going to have an additional step. So in this case, number 3 says a store offered 15% discount. So it's a 15% discount. And we know immediately percent goes over 100. And I'm going to label the top as discount and the bottom as total. So I'm just missing my middle piece. And it says the amount of the discount is 36. So this time, instead of giving me an of word, they gave me an is word. And remember, is goes on top of my fraction. So how much was the is 36. And so it says, what was the regular price? Well, the regular price would be the total. So in this case, I'm looking for total, which is different than the ones we did above. All right, so I'm going to cross multiply 36 times 100. Remember, anytime you multiply by 100, you're just a zeros thief. So I just grab those 2 zeros from 100, and I'm going to divide by 15. I can't cross off any zeros, but I can label my cowboy and horse. I'm going to put my cowboy in the house, 3,600. Big bold decimal. I get a plate for the 3, 6, 0, and 0. And again, big bold decimal. 15 outside. So 15 people cannot sit in 3 chairs, but they can sit in 36 chairs twice. Subtract and get 6. 15 people can sit in 60 chairs 4 times. And that becomes exactly 60. I zero out. And I cannot stop because I have not reached my big bold decimal. So I need to bring down my 0 and fill in my extra line with a 0 as well. So the original price of my printer, or the regular price of the printer, was $240, which makes sense because it's larger than the discounted price. The discount was $36 off the original. So original price, $240. All right. All right, last example. The manager of a coffee shop recorded the number of customers who put vanilla creamer or chocolate creamer in their coffee during 1 hour and classified them by age. The results are shown in the table. So the first thing I see is the words what percentage. So I know percent is missing. I'm actually going to scoot this up. So I know percent is missing. So I'm immediately going to put X percent over 100. And specifically, what are they asking for? They're asking for the percent of chocolate creamer. And you'll notice we don't care about age. We just care about chocolate creamer. And we're going to put total on the bottom. So all I'm missing is my middle fraction. So I need to get this information from my table. So I need to take all the people that liked chocolate because we don't care how old they are. It doesn't mention age in my question. It just says chocolate creamer. So I'm going to take and I'm going to add all of my chocolate creamer together. And I can say, oh, that's 14 people liked chocolate. And then we know we need total on the bottom. Well, how do we find total? Well, total is the whole table. So I'm going to take my whole table with everybody involved. Again, age does not matter. The age is not mentioned in my question. So really these don't matter at all. And so I'm going to take my whole table, add it together. So my total of my table is my 2 plus my 4 plus my 6 plus my 8 which is going to equal 6, 12, 20. 20 people in my table. Okay, 20 people in my table. So again, when it says total, we need the whole table, the total table. So this is kind of the extra step I was talking about. In 7th grade, we're not only going to need a percent proportion to solve, but you can see they gave us this extra table step, and we had to add it together to find this information. So that's kind of our extra step. All right, let's go back to solving. We're going to cross multiply 14 times 100. And we know that gets us 1,400 because we're a zero thief. We just steal those 2 zeros. And then we're going to divide by our extra number 20. You'll notice when I stack it, I need to cross off 1 0 here. And I end up with 140 divided by 2. I can label my cowboy and horse, draw my division, big bold decimal on my 140, 2 outside. Can 2 people sit in 1 chair? No. But they can sit in 14 chairs 7 times. I subtract and 0 out, but I have not reached my big bold decimal, so I need to fill in my extra lines with a 0. So 2 goes into 140 70 times. So what percent liked chocolate? Well, 70% preferred chocolate. And that is your refresher on percent proportions, guys. Go practice.